ways. Go ahead, please.
Debate and dialogues.
Debate and dialogues. How can debates refute misconceptions? See,
Using all this.
Using all these when you do debates and dialogues. But can we think of anything else? Source of knowledge through which, or a way through which? And I really am looking forward to get more of these. And immediately I'll add them to my computer. Hey, and I think you could think better than I do. Yes.
Like you mentioned from your examples, behavior, our behavior.
Evidence from people's way of life. Yes, that's true. You could think, I'm sure there are many ways, but sometimes we need brainstorming to get into that. This took me a lot of brainstorming. As I said, I'm bringing you all the material, but I thought many people here would be new. So, these are some of the major misconceptions, okay, that are raised in Islam. There are many. If you count them, they're endless. And they differ from one society to another. They're endless. This is just in details of what really I said earlier. The punishment law in Islam has been attracting the attention of many to raise misconceptions. To the extent they say Islam is cruel. Is how come you kill a criminal? You chop his hand. Okay? And you lash people, you do all these things. How are you going to deal with this issue? Punishment in Islam is too severe. You kill people? La ilaha illallah. That's too bad.
Minimum number.
Minimum?
Very small number of punishment.
Okay. Very small group of people who are punished that way because they are capital. This is capital punishment for capital criminals. You could call them capital for big criminals. Okay. Yes.
I will try to show that these penalties are conditional. That it is not absolute. So cutting the seeds hands on conditions that the society should be good, if there is jobs for everybody, the society is stable, then we can apply this punishment.
Okay. So my dear sister thinks, truly, if we really set the context, we need to explain to people sometimes. They only, when we say God, not by but people need to understand. Go ahead.
Couldn't you ask them why the question sounds duplicitous? Because in their book, what do they do to a woman who fornicates or a man?
Okay, so we go to another method. My sister here used a different method than Brother Yusuf around here. She referred to a way of life, how people live, how this is going to help them, stop like robbery, etc. in the society. My brother here is using a different method, which is going to their books. What does the Bible say about that? Do they have something like that in the Bible? You know what is the punishment for somebody who steals? According to the Jews, he will be enslaved, should be enslaved. قصة يوسف عليه السلام من وجد في رحله فهو جزاؤه. What does that mean? That you, and this is found. Okay? It is in Deuteronomy.
We can ask them to compare these laws and the other laws, comparative studies, the society.
When, you know, sometimes the situation does not allow you to do so. If you say this answer, you say it's in your book, how can you speak about it? What if a woman fornicates? What do you do to her? They kill her, stone her immediately. This is found there. Okay? Even in the Bible, in the Old Testament, if somebody kills, he should be killed.
Punishment are natural in itself. Natural.
Natural to you.
No,
But things have changed. You saw, when you deal with misconceptions, you you stay at people's shoes. So this is an American expression. You get into somebody's shoes. I don't know how you get into somebody's shoes. But you become at his place. You say, let him sit here. I see how he thinks. Why would he come up with this? So when I speak to them, I speak to their own way of thinking, not to their question. And I should really accept that. I respect the way they think. If you don't respect the way they think, they will not respect the answer that you give. وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ عَدْوًا. You see, you have an aim. And this is when you deal with somebody who is raising questions about Islam, we don't think of them as enemies that will attack us. No. Regardless of what their own motivation is, we don't know. We think of them as potential Muslims. Very different attitude. Not real enemies. If you think of them as real enemies, then you put a barrier between, I want to defeat you. I want to crush your head. So no. Different from dealing with them as potential Muslims. Are they potential Muslims? Every living being is either a Muslim or a potential Muslim. I said living and inanimate and inanimate in this world is either Muslim or a potential Muslim. So when you have this in your mind, you start to have mercy for people. Wow. Even those people, for kuffar, does Allah have rahmah for the kuffar? Yes. This is why He sent Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً. Not only to the Muslims. You see? If you want to follow the steps of Muhammad, you've got to be rahmah. And this is what distracted many people, many Muslims, from having a dialogue with Muslims. They get angry at, they say, hey, you don't respect the country where you are. You will be paying your living. So take it easy. This is something different. I come here to do a job. You brought me here. You pay me for my job. You didn't pay him here to become Muslim. You've got to convince me that what you're holding is the truth. And even if I know it's the truth, I may accept it, I may reject it. وَمَا عَلَيْكَ هُدَاهُمْ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. You don't have power over guiding them. It is Allah who guides those whom He chooses. So these are very important concepts that we have in mind. And sometimes misconcepts irritates. They irritate you. I know this. When somebody speaks badly about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay, I wish he spoke about my father like that, but not Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this is the reality of life. I remember we had you remember? I don't know if somebody here. He used to go around raising misconceptions. I know he was a missionary. He went to people's houses. He was open to everybody. A Portuguese, a man from Portugal. Even Sheikh Hamad Judah. He was about to fight with him one day. He said, Muhammad, take it easy. We are dua here. We don't fight with people. We make da'wah. Take it easy. So he's saying this. And Muhammad is a very experienced da'i. لكن صعيدي صح. الله يغفر لك الساعة ولكم ولنا والمسلمين أجمعين. For this man used to raise the most vicious and ugly misconceptions about the personality of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They know that we love the Prophet so much, so they want to persecute. This is real mental persecution. I mean, real. So, after about 6 years, this man became a follower of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When his name is mentioned, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Maybe it was us from the beginning who deterred him through our own anger. Those people are well trained. They don't become angry. Even when you shout at them, they smile, they like that. Because they wanted to intimidate you. When you become angry, that means you're weak. And be careful. Don't get into misconceptions unless you are very calm. And you can't take. You will slap in the face. Bah! if you go and slap again, there will be trouble. Because every time they will smash you with something that you dislike, smells bad, tastes bad, feels bad. So if you're not ready to take it, don't go into it. You could just talk about Islam in general and say, I'm not going to speak about this issue. Because sometimes you demolish what you have really already built. And they use misconceptions to do that. Usually when you have talk group of non-Muslims, somebody will stand up, they just want to intimidate you. Say, hey, you speak about Islam, look what's going on here. And they bring misconception. They want to not only destroy what you have done, they want to take the floor, pull the rug from underneath your feet, so everybody will be looking. And if you don't know how to deal with that, the whole show is getting sad. So, the punishment law, and we mentioned how we could deal with that. Okay? If you talk about the Hindus, the Vedas are full. They burn people alive. Okay? They burn people alive. And there is something very interesting that you could bring for the people alive. This is an experience. There is a nice video called Islam in America. Islam in America. And it is developed by Public Broadcasting Service. PBS. If you go, you'll find it. I think it's on YouTube. And they had something, and I usually, when some people speak about Islamic law, I say, why would you like to listen to me? Why didn't you listen to Dan Rather at CBS? Come on. On this video, it's very interesting. A documentary. I have a copy of that. So I told you, whenever I speak, I try to get واحد يمسك بعدين يظبط لك بعدين ايش جبتها. فI have that. They have part about that, about maximum security prisons. You know maximum security prisons? Have you been to one? Have you been to one? You haven't? رحت لها شيء? How does it feel? Okay. Some of our brothers used to go there and get down. They pass by the gate and the gate goes electric. ما في حد يدخل معك إلا فقر السماء والأرض. The other one fence. You go. لا إله إلا الله. I didn't go myself. أنا خواف. Okay. They spoke about maximum security prisons in the United States. Those who speak that Islam is evil. In maximum security prisons, time is going fast. In these maximum security prisons, statistics speak, the majority of people who get out of maximum security prisons end up back into them. They cannot adapt to the society. You hold somebody there for 20 years for killing 20 people, you go back to the society, they start doing the same thing all over again. With the exception of one group. Who was that group? Muslims who become Muslims in prison. They become good citizens. They show us in this. What changed those people? They're not going to spread it here. They're not hiding it. This PBS is showing it. But look what we show on our TV. What we show to the world. American movies. Dancing. Why don't we show this? This is theirs. There is a lot that is produced there. Not everybody is raising misconceptions, but they told you we have 3 categories of people when it comes to dealing with Muslims. 1, pure enemies. We have people in the middle, they are neutral. They're not against Muslims, and they're not with them. And this is a great majority of people. We have sympathizers. They're not Muslims, but they sympathize with Muslim issues, like Robert Fisk. Have you read Robert Fisk? He writes, Edward Said, and many others who write well about Islam, even better than many Muslims. But are we targeting those people? We only look at the enemies. And we didn't do anything to them. And we didn't show what other people are saying about Islam, what other people are writing about Islam. Everything in a while, when we talk about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we refer to who? Thomas Carlyle. Who is Thomas Carlyle? Hi, Jama'at al-Awliziyya. Shink. Huh? More than 100 years ago, but what did he do? About 200 years ago, one of the most prominent British literary people. He was a poet, a dramatist, as well as he wrote many novels, etc. But who knows about Thomas Carlyle? Have we translated his writings into Arabic? Thomas Carlyle used to speak about Prophet Muhammad for more than 3 months, every Tuesday night. And the elite of London would come and listen. So we need to bring these things into the minds, even of the Americans and the British, etc. They know they have been spoon-fed and fed by the media with wrong information, but we have done little effort to bring the good. That their own people who have never become Muslim. We talk about Michael Hart. You know who Michael Hart is?
The 100.
Yes. The 100 most influential people in the world. An American historian who was interested in leadership. He spoke about Prophet Muhammad ﷺ with no hesitance. The problem, we don't bring these. And I tell you about the most important method of refuting misconceptions. A method that works with all misconceptions. A method that clarifies people's minds and hearts. A method that is very influential. The method of simplicity. Very simple. What is that? Keep silent, boys and girls. What is that method? I hear whispering. And this is what I'm telling you. I don't say, don't go to people and say, I'm going to talk about this misconception, the punishment law in Islam. I'm going to talk about that today. Don't ever do that. Not because we cannot defend ourselves or there is something wrong with Islam. No, but it's not the right approach. Many people have become Muslims, they have no idea about what the punishment law in Islam is. And they have never cared about that at all. Many people became Muslims, a woman or a man, and she has never thought of becoming a second or third wife or whatever. Many people become Muslims without thinking of whether alcohol is forbidden in Islam or not. What do we need to go is to sell the product. And this is what happened. I try to remember this Portuguese Christian missionary, to remember his name. Dr. Abdullah, she knows him. He brought him to me from Imam University of King Saud University. Said, go to Abdullah. This man continued going around until somebody told him, come. You've been speaking about Muhammad? You don't like him? You hate him? You think? He said, yes. I said, fine. This is a book about Muhammad. Read about Muhammad. Ikhwan, sometimes there are very simple methods of dealing with things. And they're very complicated. You could say, I'll take the Bible, say what your prophets are saying in the Bible. And really, you go to the Bible, and you say, Sulaiman got married to 1,000 wives. 700 of them were concubines. 300 of them were of king's daughters. Say your Prophet Muhammad got married to only 10. But Sulaiman got married to 1,000. But this is not the approach. You know, we need to use this with certain people, but not with everybody. And this is an excellent approach that we found, is to get people informed about the topic that they have misconceptions about. And don't think that you could really deal with every misconception. This is something very clear. Some people say, Superman, bring me your misconceptions here. Yeah. No, this is not Islamic. ادفع بالتي هي أحسن. Take it easy with people. وما عليك هداهم. وما أكثر الناس ولو حرصت بمؤمنين. Most people would not be believers, no matter what you do to them. But our job is to make things easy for people. I'll give you an example. In our Dawah program, we have a program that we send books to libraries all over the world. What is the country in the world, I think, in the world that having the most hatred against Islam and Muslims, that is hurting Muslims the most? What country? Huh? Huh? Israel? What do you think about the United States? United States. Israel, people think Israel is nothing. Wallahi, Israel is nothing without the United States. Israel is used as a screwdriver that the United States uses. Only a screwdriver. Okay? So it's America, isn't it? صح ولا لا؟ ما في كلهم تحاوش. نذرنا. عسى سب الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. مساكين دول واحد ترى واحد رسام كبرنا احنا والله احنا نفخنا. لو تركنا ما حد راه يروح يحطونا في الزباله ما حد راه. I mean it. Well, I mean it. Sometimes we make people big and they're very small. Come in Denmark. How many people live in Denmark? 2.5 million people. If the whole Denmark is drowned in the Black Sea, nobody would pay attention to that. But we are the I mean it. If the efforts were directed, and sometimes we spend a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of zeal, a lot of energy for something that is fruitless or with little percentage. If you have 1 million riyals, and I tell you, come and invest with me, I'll give you 50% in 1 year. And he's telling you, come on with me, I'll give you 2% in 1 year. Which one you go with? Sometimes we go with the 2%. I mean it. Ya Akhwan, da'wah is investment. Tijara. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was a businessman, wasn't he? Abu Bakr, Umar, and you name it. Man, Talha, Zubayr, those people know how to deal with da'wah. Because it's business with Allah. This is the best business. So they don't play with it. Anyway, with the people in Khamis, in the center, they started sending books. One of the books called When the Moon Split. عندما انشق القمر. About to whom did the moon split? We start, the title of the book is a misconception. People will think of it as a split for whom? For Muhammad. Come on. You see? So the book went to every library that was registered. One man by the name of Noel Johnson, he picked the book out of the public library, newly arrived, when the moon split. Let's see what those crazy Muslims are saying. He went home. He sat with his wife and kids. Say, come, let's laugh at those crazy Muslims. When they started reading, they realized that there was something serious. The man bowed down, starting realizing whom he was reading. The greatest man ever walked on earth. You know, people sometimes have to submit, but they choose to submit. You can't force them to submit. So this man immediately looked, is there an address? Oh, there is an email. It is Khamis Mshir. What is Khamis Mshir? Well, he could not find it in the map. He'd go to the map, but he could the email. I read this book about Prophet Muhammad, and he's saying Prophet Muhammad now. And my wife and my kids were fascinated about him. Can you send us the Quran, the book sent to him? Ahmed Mujtaba, a poor brother coming from Sierra Leone. He was forced to leave Sierra Leone as a refugee because if he had stayed for just one day, he would have been killed along with his family. Allah brought him to work, said, yes, my brother, I'll be happy to send you a copy. You'll have it in the DHL within 1 week. Just 1 week. Oh, those Muslims are true. Oh, they don't lie. They said Muslims are liars. You see how you clarify misconceptions? They don't lie. 1 week, it's 1 week. طبعا, alhamdulillah, the DHL didn't really fail us. So, he took it. 1 week after, another email. Be careful. Pictures. Bismillah. It is Noel Johnson saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, holding with the moon split here and the Quran, and his children along with him. 2 weeks ago, he is sending another. It is on YouTube. Go to Noel Johnson, YouTube, Noel Johnson. And he sent a small video of his son learning how to say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. This is how we clarify misconceptions. With knowledge. Not with hatred. Not with debates. This is something very important that we need to do. Because this really touches the minds and the hearts of people. People have been debating with each other for a long time. Deal with every human being as potential Muslim. Could you say potential Muslim? Potential Muslim. يعني نحن potential Muslim يا شباب يعني نحن ما نكون مسلم. كل واحد في هذه الأرض احتمالين يكون ايش؟ وما عليك هداهم ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. طبعا الصلاة كررت